Hello and welcome to Take a Beat, and this is a special episode because this is our last episode of 2023.
Wow, Happy New Year. Next week.
Not yet. My name is Tirza. Hello. I am here with Gigi and Micha, and we are going to talk about the story behind the song I Belong to You. If you haven't seen it, there has been a YouTube version out, and even in service we've sang that so many times for our benediction song. We also have shown the video. I love it because of the close-ups. It's just people look so big on the screen. So we kind of want to take some time and sit and talk about the story behind that, how that song came about. And I was just thinking about it, sitting here with the two of you, we might wander off into the realm of Korean drama, because I feel like these are the experts right here.
That's right, including you.
I'm not an expert. I just follow. I just have this note in my phone, like all of the recommended shows that you two have mentioned. I was like, okay, I'll just write it down and see when I can get there. But yes, hello, welcome.
It's good to be back.
How are you? Are you awake, Micha? Do you need a sip of this?
I'm doing good.
Okay. All right, so this song I Belong to You, I honestly, everyone loves this song, and people have been singing it a lot, and people have, even when we started singing it at church, people ask about it all the time. So what prompted this song?
Pastor Dave said at a lot of benedictions before he sends our people home, he said, remember you belong to Jesus. And I thought that was something that I can write about. So there it is. Okay. So what's the process of that? You just did you come up with the chorus, or did you have the benediction in mind, or do you have when did this come to you? For the most part, because I'm always looking for something to write, and so I'm allowing myself to think about different things that I can write about, and it just so happened that this was a message that I thought I can challenge myself. And when I challenge myself to write on a subject, I usually don't really know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
I just write, and I thought something that is for closing would be something a little bit more simpler. So I try to just keep it as simple as possible, and I try to just hone in on the message, what it means to belong to Jesus. And oftentimes when songwriters write about I belong to Jesus, it's all about the benefit of belonging to Jesus. But the way Pastor Dave says it, or when he admonishes people, it's about living out in the way that we honor Jesus, that we live in the way that pleases Jesus. It's not about what we get out of it, but how we can shine for Jesus.
And Gigi, in the recording, you sing it, but you also in service, you sing this song a lot. Right. So what do you like about this song? And
Micha talks about it, he wanted to make a song. When oftentimes when Micha writes, he would try and sit down, let me hear, this is something that, how does it resonate to you? And so we talk a lot about things that he writes, and mainly this one, especially this one, because it came out of what Dave would always remind people when we close the service. Yeah. And he mentioned about this is a simple song. Sometimes the most simplest song is the hardest to actually to
Apply.
apply. That's one thing. That's the first thing. But it's very hard to I'm losing my thought. But when it's the hardest to interpret, because you want to keep it simple. It has to be something that when people listen to it, so whenever like Misha writes a song and he lets me hear it first, I try and let it apply to me first. So I would always think, how does this one, if I hear somebody singing it, how it has to affect me first before I can affect somebody else. So I always reflect it on me. How would I sing this in such a way that when people hear it for the first time, it's something that would retain, because there's so many beautiful songs. Like I said, sometimes the simplest song can be the hardest one to interpret, because sometimes you want to make it fancy and all that stuff, but it has to be something that's just honest. But with this song, because it's beautiful as it is, it just came out so naturally. So so we actually had different versions when we first sang this one.
Okay.
It was a little different tempo, and it sort of evolved in something a little more, for lack of a better term, a little more commercial sounding and hummable. So, which is good, because we want people to be able to, if sometimes there are songs that it's like, it's so familiar, but when you leave the place, you forget about it. And so we want something like, and so it's a total package from how it is written. It has to be honest to how Misha wrote it in the beginning, and how he first, felt it, and, put it in his brain, from his heart to his brain to actually writing it. It has to be true from that. And so, and then of course my own personal interpretation comes with that. But every time I sing it, I feel like it's something that also, it's a reminder to me. It's not just something I sing it so I can remind some other people.
Yeah. When I first heard it, I was taken back into, I just remember one Sunday. This was we were still in UOB, and PD mentioned this was the last service of the year, and that's probably the reason why I put this the last episode for this year. But people were already like, the Tamrin was going to be closed, and people are getting ready for all of these like New Year's Eve parties. And I remember PD says, you remember, anything you do, like, you belong to Jesus. And I think when you first sang this song, I was kind of transported back to PD telling that, like, whatever you do, like, from where you go from here, remember that you belong to Jesus. So Gigi, what was your first impression when you first heard this song?
When I first heard it, I told Misha, don't change anything, because sometimes we would sit down and he would, how about this one, he would tweak it a little bit. But there's certain songs he would do that, but this one, when I first heard it, even some of the lyrics, he felt like, I need to change it. I said, no, don't change it. We actually, he lets me listen sometime in the middle of the week, and that weekend we sang it. That's how it was. It felt like it was such a complete song. Even though it's a short song, it's a complete thought, and it's a complete message. And so even when later on, when we actually recorded it in the studio, when we were on the planning stage, we thought we should make it a little longer because it's a short song. And some of the people who were helping us, they said, we don't want to touch it because it's just good on its own. And so, right? Am I remembering correctly?
That's true. Part of the songwriting process on this one, I already have in mind that Gigi will sing it. And one of the songs that she's really good at delivering is going back to the 70s,
Why do birds suddenly appear? And that is, instead of the K-pop, this time I go way back to the 70s.
Excuse me. Pew!
I am not saying that you were in that
Okay,
era.
that's right, because I was like
It was
5, I think.
it was just a reference.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for
You know,
clarifying.
some people
that.
go back to the classical era. I
Right.
didn't go that far
Yeah.
back. Just the 70s. If you all remember the Carpenters, and that song is it's a simple song, but it just sticks with you. And I have that as my reference, not to complicate the songs.
Okay. So let's talk about the lyrics, because I think, like, I absolutely love the melody, but the lyrics get you. And so let's talk about the lyrics. How did you get the lyrics? Because, like, when we talk about PD and PD saying, hey, remember, you belong to Jesus, PD doesn't have this entire, like, verse 1 chorus, verse 2 chorus. So, like, how did you get the lyrics that you have?
In a way, I sort of walk backwards. So I do want to make sure at the end of the day, we remember that life is a gift. And oftentimes people walk or live their lives as if, where is my share? What do I get from my life? Instead of living the life that God wants them to live. And because they want to get stuff for their life, they feel like if they don't get it, their life is useless. Their life is empty because I don't get what I want. And so I want people to remember that their life is a gift. And with this gift of life, what are you going to do with it?
So let's go through the lyrics. So the first one, it says, in my words, Lord, I'll be gentle, in my actions kind and thoughtful, because I belong to you. Like, what is there any inspiration, any scripture inspiration or personal experience?
Gigi is good being gentle and thoughtful. Gigi.
Well, I have a cheat sheet. So it's according to the songwriter. He gave it to me.
Hey, this is scripture. I did not
Yes,
make this up.
That's right. I think gentleness is something that it's a difficult thing to be gentle.
Yeah, very true.
Because you feel like if a lot of people, because of so much baggage and issues, it's easier to just be harsh and hard. So to me, gentle it's a real effort to be gentle. And gentle in words, gentle in your actions, gentle in and yet gentleness is something that it's a fruit of the Spirit.
Yes,
right? Gentleness. And so I think for Micha to include this as his first line and his first verse is to be gentle in my actions, kind and thoughtful. It's from Ephesians, be completely humble. Ephesians 4:2 and 3. Chapter 4 verses 2 and 3. Be completely humble and gentle, be patient, bearing with one another in love. Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. And let your gentleness, in Philippians, let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. So I think that's like I said, this song is just pure. It's just like a and for that first description of how belonging to God actually looks like, and for Micha to put that as the first verse, I thought it's just just catches you.
Well, yeah, it catches you and slaps you. Because I'm like, just to start, we haven't even built up to anything. It's like, oh, be gentle, and I think. Sorry.
Yeah. This one also slaps on my face. Being gentle is not my best gift, and as a reminder to myself, I mean, I can be preaching this to others, but this is also preaching to me.
Yeah, because I think even especially our words. I mean, the book of James talk about how our tongue is like a fire, and so either it can be helpful or it can burn like a whole house. And so, like, the first thing I was like, oh, okay, like we get serious right off the bat. But that is very, very. I think it's very important, and I'm glad that you addressed it here. So, second verse. I'll be honest in my dealings. I'll be fair and not self-seeking. Like,
I am seeking the rhyming.
I see. Okay.
Of course, one of the hardest part of writing the song is getting the rhymes correct. And so I tried very, very hard. At the same time, in the back of my mind, what I do want to address is for the people who are doing business. So this second verse is sort of dedicated to those who are in the business world, and as they go out, and the pressures of the world wants you to cheat and to take advantage of people. And that's exactly the opposite side of what the Bible is teaching us.
Yeah, and I think even like not sometimes when we think about this, we think about like you were saying, business people and maybe people who owns companies. But I think people in any level of business or work or having dealings with other people, there's always the temptation to, if I just cut corners or if I just do this, then I might gain more, or like, gain quickly. And so, yeah, this is the other thing. I was like, okay, verse 2 isn't any better than the verse 1 in terms of like, slapping people in the face. Yes. And I think, like, I don't know about you, but I think for me, just the whole, even the idea of the not self-seeking is challenging. But it does show, like, okay, if you belong to Jesus, you need to live like people need to see it.
That's right.
Yeah.
I do sense, and I've spoken to several people who are very affected by the song, and having known them and known how they live their lives, I think the second verse seemed to be very impactful because the kind of compromise that they had done, and they're confronted with, I shouldn't be compromising my walk with the Lord.
Yeah.
And so the way they described to me, I just cried and I kind of understood. I don't have to ask them what it is because I know how they have lived, and I'm sure they have to make right the compromise that they had done in the past.
Yeah. I'm a little afraid to go on just because I feel like it gets harder.
It gets harder.
The third verse says, every day, Lord, I'll act justly, I'll love mercy and walk humbly. Ooh, is this from Micah?
That's me. Just another what do you call it, secret to my life. My name is actually derived from the book of Micah, but I don't know, it just becomes Misha. So I feel very personal with this verse.
And this is from Micah 6:8, right?
That's correct. Good job.
Yay. So I mean, other than the fact that your name is derived from Micah, why is this here?
In search of rhyming, it's perfect. Look at that. Mercy, humbly, justly. It works.
I'm just picturing Misha like researching rhymes in the Bible.
What does the Lord wants us, he calls us, I think, we are safe to do good works.
That's right.
We are safe to do good works. And then this verse says, He has shown to you, O mortals, what is good. And it describes what it is to be doing good works. That is to be just, to be to love with mercy, and then to walk humbly.
Yeah. What do you think, and this is a question for both of you, what do you think loving mercy means? Because I feel like, mercy is one of those words where, we see it in the Bible, but in modern conversation, mercy doesn't really come up in a lot of our conversations. And so what do you think it means in our context to love mercy?
Mercy, I like one of the descriptions of mercy is giving forgiveness for the person who does not deserve forgiveness. And I think we can find that in every context. When we see somebody who trespassed against us and we forgive them, they don't deserve, because they have trespassed, they have done us wrong. And yet we need to be merciful to them. And to love mercy is like not just being merciful, but you do it more than what is expected of you to do.
Like
That's hard.
Yeah, I'm just like if you see my body language, I'm just like
You might fall.
because it is hard. Like it's already hard to be merciful, but the like you said, the like beyond that, loving mercy, and that's whew.
I think loving mercy to me is about forgiveness. Oftentimes when we think about forgiveness, it's something that obviously you extend to somebody, and it's always has something to do whether you're going to forgive that person because are they deserving of it. But in the context of what God has called us to be, to show forgiveness or to forgive somebody, is something that you forgive somebody not because they deserve it. You forgive them because, first of all, that's what God has commanded us. Yeah. We have received forgiveness and we don't deserve it. And so that is reflective of between our my relationship with the Lord. It has to reflect that in my relationship with somebody that I need to forgive. And I think so. Loving mercy to me, well, first of all, like what Misha said, it's mercy means receiving something that you don't deserve.
Yeah.
Okay. And so to me, forgiveness is giving somebody something that even though they don't deserve, it's something that you have to give. It's not, God commands us to forgive, but he didn't say if that person doesn't deserve it, don't give it. Yeah. But because just as much as he has given that forgiveness to me, I have to extend that forgiveness to somebody whom they may not deserve it. But it's not about them. It's about me. It's about how I follow Jesus
and how you belong to Jesus.
That's right. And I think that's why that song is just so perfect, because belonging to somebody, if belonging, that means you hold that person so dear that you no longer belong to yourself, you belong to that person. And because you belong to that person, everything that person holds dear, it has to be reflective in your life. So whether it's mercy, showing mercy, loving mercy, giving forgiveness, acting honest and justly, and being humble. Yeah. To me, that's the hardest one.
Yeah, like in my head right now, I'm just like, do we talk about walk humbly? Maybe not.
That's the hardest one because nobody sees that. It's
Yeah.
so easy to put on a mask and say, "I'm so proud to be humble."
and you can't. Yeah, like you said, you can't talk about it. Oof, okay. Any comments about walking humbly before we move on?
I keep my mouth shut because I'm being humble.
Okay. In the end verse, it says, "Every day is a gift from you. I will live it just to please you." Like, because this is how we leave the song. Like, this is the last thing that people sing before the song ends. Like, what's on your mind when you wrote this?
Sense of purpose. People need to have a purpose in life. People, in 2 Timothy 3 verse 2, people will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful. And the world that we live in is really about the love, people who loves themselves. And the social media world is so huge and so impactful in all ages of lives, and it is all surrounded by, look at me, I am somebody, and people become so much lovers of themselves. This is exactly what the Bible describes, and that's exactly the opposite of what God wants us to live, which is not to live for ourselves but to live for Him. And that's the thought that I want to give people as they go into the world. Don't be consumed with your self-love. Remember, you live for Jesus. Back to you belong to Jesus. Live for Him.
And I think it's like just looking over the song as a whole. It's that I like that, what you said earlier. It's not about, oh, I belong to Jesus, therefore this is what's in it for me. This is more of like, I belong to Jesus, therefore this is my commitment on how I will live my life. And that sense of not just, I think it is a good thing for us to, I feel really good because I belong to Jesus. But then oftentimes we don't look at if I belong to Jesus, therefore Jesus have ownership over my life. And so honestly, for me, this song is quite impactful. And I just I was like, I don't even know where to go from here.
I'm as I'm thinking, your gain is in your submission. I think people like thinking about, I belong to Jesus, therefore it's just about benefits. But actually, your benefits will be there as you submit yourselves to the Lord. But you must submit, you must surrender, and again, it's about purpose. When you find your purpose in the Lord, the rest of your life, you will have a fulfilled life because you are living according what your purpose to be, and that will satisfy you. But surrender must come first.
I'm just thinking, man, every single part of this song is difficult.
That's why when we were trying to make it a longer song, because it's a short song, we couldn't find a reason to make it longer.
This is already hard. If you add more,
that's right.
It's gonna be even harder. How long is this song?
2 minutes 55.
Oh, it works for a K-pop song.
Yeah, that's right. But actually, the actual song is less than that. That includes the little instrumentation in
And
the
the
middle.
oohs.
Yeah. That's already the whole, the additional things that we put in there. So it's quite short. But I think, this song, you don't have to explain it. I think that's the beauty. And I only knew it now that Micha actually started from what does belong to Jesus mean. He started from the bottom verse, the last verse, and he worked him, his way up. And I think that's, to me, the I always maintain that the easiest thing to understand in the Bible are the hardest things to do.
Yeah.
Like forgiveness, like being humble. I mean, I can get that. I don't have to go to a Bible school to understand, and it's the hardest thing. And I think it's the same with this song, because it's an honest song. It has a beautiful melody that went with it, and it's just an honest song, and it speaks for itself. Yeah.
And I like that it's catchy, so people remember it. And so I feel like when it's catchy and people remember it, and then they hum it, the message is then associated with the catchiness of the song. And so, like, I feel like that's part of the reason why I wanted to chat with both of you about this song at this time, because while people are going to their New Year's Eve parties, or any parties, and not just parties, but how they live their lives, they think about spending time with their family, they think about what they do at work. I wanted us to take a beat and talk about this, so that people can also, when they sing this or when they remember this, they remember all of the things that it means to follow Jesus and to belong to Jesus. So thank you so much for being here and chatting with me about this. And we will have a link on our YouTube thing to the what is it, a music video? I actually love it because there's just so many faces and it's just so classy. And also, I guess, a shout out to Seek Music, right?
That's right.
They're the ones who...
That's right.
They are part of the family too. Joshua and Marco is part of the family. And the one who changed the arrangement actually was Tefa. He changed the beats. Like, okay, so our whole team, this is a whole village is a part of this.
The whole clan.
It takes a village
That's
to
right.
not raise a kid, but to
Write a song.
But this is great, and I love the music video. It's the different faces of our yes.
That's right.
And yes. So if you haven't, I don't know how you haven't, but if you haven't, please take some time and listen to the song. And it's quite simple. We've been talking about it, and learn the song and sing the song, and just remind yourself what it means for you to belong to Jesus. And if you haven't belonged to Jesus, this is an invitation for you. All you have to do is talk to him and ask. But thank you so much, Gigi and Micha, for being here.
Thank you for having us.
And we will see you next year for Take a Beat. Bye.